What's up? It's your boy Kevin to turn on this motherfucking YouTube shit. Wow, what the fuck?
What's up? It's your boy Kevin to on YouTube shit. Hey man, we are Lil man, turn. Motherfucker, they sure hooding outside. Big Crip and the gang sure hooding outside shit, man. Free Palestine, free Congo, Russia do your thing, and Texas stand the fuck up. Each day is new day to be a better version of yourself. Never let somebody bring you down, always fight back. Never let somebody tell you who you are, but also never put yourself in a position you don't belong. Let's stay humble. Let's get on revolution on the movement. Keep Yahweh first. Coming to the Black Hebrew Israelite. As a real Jew, we out here. Alright. Boom. Today, motherfucker, today, sure hooding outside. Big Crip and the gang sure hooding outside shit, man. Hey, man, turn up. So, Little Durk, bruh, and OTL. As we've been following along to see what's gonna happen with the Little Durk shit, man, they denied his bond. You know what I'm saying? They denied his bond because they feel like he might be a high flight risk. You know what I'm saying? But while they've been in jail, you know, a lot has been coming out about Little Durk, where the fans are like, they looking at Little Durk like, so we've been getting to this situation about this is about some of the stuff that is bringing Durk name to attention to Little Spoon, Little Jeff, and OTF Jam. Is OTF Jam next on the list to get? You know what I'm saying? Is he next? They said his girl done got hit. Hey, we about to see what's going on. Let's get into it. Shout out to Rap Daily, man. We finna check out what's been going on with Lil Durk. And his name has been going crazy in these streets since he been getting locked up. And with people, you know what I'm saying, dying, like, recently and now. Like, shit getting crazy.
But what I be trying to explain to them is, like, if you and him beefing, if it ain't no blood spill, or ain't died about it, it's really nothing. That was Lil Durk reacting to Lil Jeff's death. And at the time, it flew under the radar. But now that rumors are swirling that he may have played a part in it, that reaction is starting to sound a lot more like a confession. Especially when you realize Lil Jeff was locked in a serious beef with one of Durk's own artists, YFG Fatso.
Another thing that's been going viral, you dissed Bloodhound Lil Jeff in the song.
The details of Durkio's involvement are wild, and what we uncovered might change how you see this whole situation. When keeping it real goes wrong. It seems like Lil Durk just can't catch a break. Not only is he facing murder for hire charges, but now his name is back in the mix over Lil Jeff's murder. But to really understand Durkio's reaction,
man, once you start getting that money out, man,
it's even being mentioned in the first place, and it all goes back to the beef between Lil Jeff's close affiliate
and you getting people around you. So is that Lil Stone, the nigga who died in Chicago?
Rap that happens every day in the hood. Somebody allegedly biting another's bars. YFG Fatso, who was coming up heavy in Chicago's drill scene.
Yeah, I remember Lil Spoon died when that girl setting him up. Is that Lil Spoon?
Bloodhound Lil Jeff. According to Fatso, this whole deadly chain of events started from the stupidest on earth, from like This whole deadly chain of events started from the stupidest on earth, from like lyrics, bro. But anybody who's been around the block knows that in the streets, it ain't about what starts the beef. It's about who's standing when the smoke clears. The drama centered around two tracks. Lil Scoom's joint called Nightcrawler and YFG Fatso's Princeton Freestyle. Scoom was out here claiming that Fatso jacked his whole flow in some of his bars, but Fatso wasn't having none of that accusation. During an interview that would later prove prophetic, Fatso broke down the timeline and exposed just how backwards this whole whole situation really was.
I been made that song like a year before I dropped it. All the songs that's viral and all the songs I got on my YouTube, I just started dropping new songs. All the other old as hell. Like, I got hella songs. I got a big ass catalog for. So I'm telling you, like, gang, I been had this song before you.
But here's where it gets real spicy. Fatso flipped the whole script and claimed that Scoom was actually the one stealing bars.
I know you took my lyrics, bro. Your homie was just on the phone with me and told me that you be in the crib listening to my music. He like, yeah, we with you, bro.
So now the who was pointing fingers was getting exposed as the real thief. That's that hood karma right there, calling somebody out for doing exactly what you've been doing. What made this whole situation even more tragic was that Fatso and Lil Jeff had history together. These cats weren't always enemies. They used to kick it, which makes what happened
next more cold. Is that Lil Jeff?
Revealed their past connection during a live stream.
You want to be technical? Me and Jeff used to kick it. If you want to be technical, me and Jeff used to kick it.
But when it came time to pick sides, Jeff chose to ride with Scoom instead of staying neutral or squashing the beef. That decision would end up being the worst mistake of his young life, because he was about to beef with someone who had serious connections and wasn't playing about his respect. Now, YFG Fatso was moving different from these others. While Scoom and Jeff were out here chasing clout,
okay, so it's two different niggas.
Fatso was showing the maturity of someone who had real street credibility and didn't need to prove nothing to nobody. Instead of immediately escalating to violence, he tried to brush off the whole situation.
I ain't who mad about lyrics. That ain't nothing for real. I got real life situations going on, so I ain't finna really argue with you about no lyrics. That's why I never had really paid attention.
But Scoom and Jeff weren't trying to hear none of that maturity. They were dead set on milking this beef for every drop of street credibility and social media clout they could get. They stayed on Instagram Live talking reckless, posting on TikTok.
Yeah, they both did, Scoom and Jeff.
Keep the situation hot.
But the niggas was chasing it, like they seeing it get on live and shit. Like, you know, you go to TikTok and see it. They on live. So
the streets were watching this whole situation unfold, and real niggas could see exactly what was happening. The comments on social media told the whole story, with people recognizing the clout chasing.
That's why I don't hang out with too many niggas.
Put it perfectly. In my opinion, Scoom and Bloodhound was just looking for reasons to start beefing with dudes so they can get their name out there. Another person called it this some 90s. A small lil beef over maybe some stolen lyrics. The whole dynamic changed when Fatso and Scoom ran into each other in the most unexpected place, while both were visiting their peoples in county. This was the real test, because the internet is one thing, but when you face to face with a nigga you've been dissing, that's when you find out who really about that action.
I go to jail, I see a nigga.
He also talked about how he never considered him a rival.
Like, I didn't consider him an op at first in jail. I don't know who the f he is. Before that, I didn't consider him a op.
What happened during that jail visit exposed everything about Scoom's character.
Look,
when it was time to back up
the jail system, man, is so fucking crazy, nigga, because everybody knows everybody.
Just avoidance and fake
all the famous niggas know everybody in jail, because half the niggas they fuck with is in jail.
Just internet clout chasing, and not some serious street that required real get back. Even after seeing Scoom Punk out in person, Jeff and his crew kept the disrespect going online. They stayed on social media talking crazy, dropping diss tracks, and basically doing everything they could to keep this beef alive for the cameras. Fatso, showing the wisdom that comes from having real street experience, tried to handle this like a grown man. He reached out directly to try and dead the situation.
Then I get out of jail. Then they just keep, they always going on Instagram. Mind you, before I had these numbers.
That leave it in the trenches comment showed that Fatso understood street politics better than these young boys. He knew that keeping beef on the internet was dangerous because it attracts attention from all the wrong people. The police, rival gangs, and most importantly, people with the resources to turn internet beef into real-life consequences. But Jeff and Scoom were too caught up in the clout to listen to that wise advice. They kept pushing, kept disrespecting, and kept talking reckless without understanding that they were about to cross a line that would change everything. What they didn't know was that their target was about to become untouchable, protected by one of the most ruthless organizations in Chicago's music industry. While they were busy chasing likes and comments, YFG Fatso was making real moves that would elevate him from just another drill rapper to a protected member of an organization that doesn't play about disrespect. The internet tough guys were about to learn the difference between viral beef and street beef, and that lesson was going to cost them everything. The stage was set for a transformation that would turn a petty lyrics dispute into a matter of organizational respect. When real money and real power get involved, the rules change completely, and who thought they were playing games were about to find out they had entered a deadly serious situation where the consequences are measured in body bags, not views. When OTF gets involved, bodies start dropping. April 2024 changed everything for this beef because that's when Lil Durk made an announcement that turned YFG Fatso from an independent drill rapper into a protected member of one of Chicago's most feared organizations. When Durk posted on his Instagram that YFG Fatso was among the 3 new signees to Only the Family, he basically put a target on anyone who had been disrespecting his newest artist. See, signing to OTF ain't just about getting a record deal. It's about joining a family that's known for sliding on anybody who disrespects their people. The moment Fatso became official OTF, anyone beefing with him was now beefing with an organization that had the bread, the shooters, and the connections to make problems disappear permanently. In the street hierarchy of Chicago's drill scene, OTF sits at the top, and they didn't get there by letting disrespect slide. Jeff and Scoom were too caught up in their clout chasing to understand what this signing really meant. They kept the same energy, kept talking the same reckless, not realizing they had just graduated from beefing with an up-and-coming rapper to disrespecting one of the most dangerous organizations in the city. That's the difference between those who understand politics and those who just see everything as internet content. The fatal mistake came in
I think they ended up here gonna get signed to
Jeff decided to go live on Instagram and play an unreleased diss track that Scoom had made targeting YFG Fatso. This wasn't just disrespect anymore. This was a direct challenge to OTF's authority. Jeff basically told the whole world that he didn't respect Durk's new artist, which meant he didn't respect Durk himself. In the organized street world that OTF operates in, that kind of public disrespect requires an immediate response, or else you look weak to your enemies. To understand why Jeff signed his own death warrant with that Instagram live, you need to know about OTF's history of handling business. This ain't no regular rap beef where you just drop diss tracks and keep it moving. Lil Durk has built a reputation as someone who actually slides for his people, and the federal charges he's facing right now prove just how far he's willing to go. However, he did admit that a beef isn't a beef until blood is slipped.
But what I be trying to explain to them is like, if you and him beefing, if it ain't no blood spilled, or ain't died about it, it's really nothing.
He did express some regret about what happened to Quan and the violence in the Chicago drill scene.
The whole situation that happened with Quan, how we live and how we go by our shit. And I'm speaking for the old Chicago. You ain't there. Shut the fuck up. You weren't there.
The feds got Durk locked up right now because according to court documents, he started plotting Quando Rondo's death immediately after King Von got killed. This wasn't no emotional reaction. This was organized, calculated revenge involving multiple people and serious money. Court documents show that Durk told OTF members he would pay a bounty to anyone who would take part in killing Quando, and his cousin DeAndre Wilson promised lucrative music opportunities to anyone who handled the situation. When they tracked Quando to that LA hotel, OTF didn't send some random street. They sent a whole team with professional equipment.
The thing about Quando, he was rolling around like he was sweet.
Pop got killed shows you that these are serious
he
about
was just cool,
even if they don't always hit their primary target. But the Quando situation was just the tip of the iceberg. The feds have been building cases showing that OTF has been running murder-for-hire operations for years. Take the Stephon Mack situation. When Durk's brother D. Thang got killed 2 years later, federal authorities charged Preston Powell, J.B. Marley, and Anthony Montgomery Wilson, A.J., in a murder-for-hire plot connected to Mack's death. The evidence against these is crazy. The feds got text messages between AJ and JB Marley discussing getting paid by Durk, including one where AJ straight up asks, "Did Durk give you that money?" That's not street. That's organized crime with paper trails and everything. Even more wild is that AJ was at Durk's Aha music video shoot, which dropped less than a month after Mack got smoked. So you got alleged hitmen mixing with the legitimate music business like it's all one operation. That's how deep this organization really goes. The FBG Duck situation also shows how OTF moves when somebody disrespects their dead homies. Initially, everyone thought King Von had put the bounty on Duck for dissing T-Roy, but FBG Butter revealed that Durk was about to fly Duck's killers out in a private jet before they got arrested. That means while Von was getting all the credit for the revenge, Durk was the one actually financing and organizing the whole operation. This is the type of organization that Jeff and Scoom were disrespecting when they kept talking reckless about YFG Fatso. They thought they were just beefing with another drill rapper, but they were actually challenging a group that has professional shooters, unlimited funding, and a track record of eliminating threats systematically. The timeline of what happened next tells the whole story. 2 weeks after Jeff's Instagram live disrespect, he was dead. That's not coincidence. That's the efficiency of an organization that takes disrespect seriously and has the resources to respond quickly. June 8th, 2024, Jeff made his final mistake when he decided to slide on the 6,600 block of S. Rhodes Avenue with Q50 and another shooter. They thought they were about to catch some ops slipping, but what they didn't know was that they were walking into a setup. Jeff jumped out first, immediately opening fire on his target, who ran for cover behind a car before making a desperate dash.
Sad part is a lot of these
Jeff,
niggas dead or in jail,
rush that
nigga.
comes from being the aggressor, chased his target up the porch steps, firing the whole time. But what he didn't see was that this was a trap. The people inside that house were ready for him, with better positioning and more firepower than his crew brought to the party. The return fire was immediate and devastating. Before Jeff could even reach the door, bullets sent him flying backward off the porch and onto the ground. But they weren't satisfied with just stopping him. They wanted to make sure there was no comeback. Reports say they emptied a whole magazine into his body from above, making sure he wasn't getting back up to retaliate. Q50 and the other shooter tried to cover Jeff, but they were outgunned and outpositioned. When they realized their homie was gone and staying meant joining him, they made the smart choice and got the fuck out of there, leaving Jeff's body on the pavement. When the police arrived, the scene told the story of a brief but intense firefight. 58 shell casings were scattered everywhere, and Jeff had been hit 19 times. That kind of overwhelming firepower suggests this wasn't random street beef. This had the hallmarks of a planned operation designed to send a message. There's no direct
Draco,
evidence linking
nigga.
OTF to the specific shooters who killed Jeff. The pattern fits
Niggas be having
perfectly
these
with how
Macs,
they've
these
handled
Dracos,
disrespect
nigga.
in the past.
Running
The rapid
down you
response
niggas.
time, the overwhelming force, and the message it sent all align with their documented methods of dealing with threats. Jeff's death served multiple purposes for OTF's street reputation. It showed that disrespecting their people, even over something as petty as stolen lyrics, would result in deadly consequences. It demonstrated that their reach extended beyond just protecting their main artists to include newer signees, and it reinforced their reputation as an organization that follows through on implied threats, making other potential enemies think twice before challenging them. The message was clear: OTF doesn't just make threats and songs, they handle business in the streets. Jeff learned too late that there's a big difference between internet beef and real-life consequences when you're dealing with people who have the resources and willingness to turn social media disrespect into permanent solutions. The body count keeps rising, and the streets... The body count keeps rising, and the streets take notice. Jeff's death wasn't the end of the story. It was just the beginning of a pattern that would show the streets exactly how OTF handles business when disrespect their family. What happened next proved that this wasn't a random violence or heat-of-the-moment retaliation, but a systematic elimination of everyone involved in disrespecting YFG Fatso. When organizations like OTF decide to handle a situation, they don't just hit one target, they clean house completely. To understand the full scope of what OTF is capable of, you need to look at their track record of getting back at people who cross them. From using women to backdoor enemies, to paying gang members to eliminate threats, Durk and OTF have terrorized their ops for years. This ain't amateur hour street. This is organized, well-funded, and strategically planned violence designed to maintain dominance through fear. The murder of FBG Cash is a perfect example of how sophisticated OTF's operations really are. Cash made the fatal mistake of disrespecting King Von's memory by taking a photo next to Von's mural, flipping off the camera and posting it with the caption, "Whole world witnessed the
niggas just be just trying to die.
That level of disrespect toward a fallen
Niggas be trying to die.
was guaranteed.
It's like niggas just tired of living, man. I
response
swear.
showed the difference between regular
Niggas be getting tired of living, man. Just wanna die.
He didn't just beef on social media. He studied his target and identified weaknesses. Through his Instagram story, Durk posted a warning that seemed to predict exactly how Cash would die. "Don't diss thang if you be lingering and chasing won't end well." That's March. That warning proved prophetic with deadly accuracy. On June 9th, 2022, Cash was driving with a female in his backseat when his car got cut off at a stop sign. 3 shooters jumped out and opened fire, leading to a gunfight that ended with Cash dead. Word on the street was that the woman in his car set him up, exactly like Durk's Instagram post had predicted. That's not luck, that's intelligence gathering and strategic planning. The FBG Duck situation also demonstrates OTF's long-term approach to handling disrespect. When Duck dissed their fallen homie T-Roy in Dead, the response was swift and public. The broad daylight shooting on Michigan Avenue was caught on camera, showing armed men jumping out of vehicles and opening fire while Duck tried to escape. The message was unmistakable: disrespect OTF's dead and you'll join them. Given this history, Jeff's fate was basically sealed the moment he played that diss track on Instagram Live. But OTF wasn't done sending messages. Just 1 month after, Jeff got smoked. His partner in disrespect, Lil Scoom, would also lose his life in circumstances that continued the pattern of systematic elimination. On July 7th, Scoom got killed in the Chatham neighborhood at 89th Place and Langley.
So that was Lil Jeff Boy,
11:50 p.m.
who was going that fast though,
got into an
who's
argument with
signed to
someone
Durk.
that quickly escalated to gunfire. Scoom caught fatal shots while his young friend got hit but survived. Paramedics rushed Scoom to University of Chicago Medical Center, but he was pronounced dead on arrival. The circumstances around Scoom's death were telling. When police spotted a suspect fleeing the scene, it led to a foot chase where shots were fired at officers. The incident triggered a massive response involving CPD, SWAT, and multiple districts. But despite all that law enforcement presence, the shooter escaped in the chaos. That takes either extreme desperation or extreme confidence. The kind that comes from believing you have protection from powerful people. The elimination of both Jeff and Scoom within a month sent shockwaves through Chicago's drill scene. This wasn't random street violence. This was a coordinated cleanup operation that removed everyone involved in the original disrespect. The message was crystal clear. When you beef with OTF, they don't just come for you, they come for your whole crew. This systematic approach serves multiple strategic purposes for OTF. First, it demonstrates their reach and efficiency, showing that they can eliminate multiple targets quickly and professionally. Second, it sends a deterrent message to anyone else who might consider similar disrespect. Finally, it consolidates their power in Chicago's hip-hop hierarchy by showing that they follow through on implied threats. The ripple effects of these killings extended far beyond the immediate victims. Other artists and crews in Chicago now understand that beefing with OTF members carries potentially fatal consequences, regardless of how trivial the original dispute might seem. The lyrics beef that started this whole situation seems almost laughably petty in retrospect, but it served as a vehicle for demonstrating organizational power and control. The deaths also highlight how social media has changed the game in street conflicts. What used to be localized neighborhood beef now gets amplified to massive audiences through Instagram Live, TikTok, and other platforms. This amplification means that disrespect reaches more people and requires stronger responses to maintain credibility. Jeff's decision to broadcast that diss track made it impossible for OTF to ignore without looking weak to their broad social media following. Looking at OTF's broader operations, it's clear they've weaponized reputation management through strategic violence. The federal cases against Durk have revealed the sophisticated nature of their organization, but those represent only the situations where enough evidence existed for prosecution. The deaths of Jeff and Scoom suggest many more eliminations may have occurred without leaving prosecutable evidence trails. The systematic nature of OTF's approach also demonstrates long-term strategic thinking. By eliminating threats quickly and completely, they minimize the risk of extended conflicts that could draw unwanted law enforcement attention or create opportunities for retaliation. Their methods suggest organizational sophistication that goes far beyond typical street crews. As federal investigations continue and more evidence emerges about OTF's alleged criminal operations, the deaths of Jeff and Scoom serve as stark examples of the real-world consequences of challenging established power structures in Chicago's drill scene. What began as petty internet beef over stolen lyrics ultimately became another chapter in OTF's documented history of using violence to maintain dominance. The pattern established through these events continues to influence behavior throughout Chicago's hip-hop community. Artists, producers, and crew members now carefully consider the potential consequences of their actions and associations. The price of disrespecting OTF has been clearly established and paid in blood by those who failed to recognize the danger until it was too late. The streets have taken notice, and the lesson is clear.
Chicago be on
Chicago's drill
vacation.
scene, OTF sits at the top of the food chain, and they
Not
didn't
the
get
people.
there by letting disrespect slide.
Other people.
Whether it's stolen lyrics, social media beef, or disrespecting their dead, the consequences remain the same. Swift, deadly, and final. Jeff and Scoom learned this lesson too late, but their deaths serve as a permanent reminder to anyone else who might consider testing OTF's reach and resolve. Thanks for watching. Check out other cards on the screen.
Let's get straight to it. OTF Jam.
And he allegedly had been wearing a wire for the last 2 years.
Real nigga Durk, man. We trying to learn how OTF Jam.
Yeah, well, prosecutors state that these transactions and the informant's recordings played key roles in linking Lil Durk to the murder-for-hire plan. There's a guy named OTF Jam.
Whack 100 wasn't lying. OTF Jam really did snitch on Lil Durk, but now the consequences are deadly. Reports claim Jam was just killed, and it may have been a direct response to his
They said they were looking
If
for
that's
him.
not wild enough, this could shift Lil Durk's entire legal case. Let's break it all down. From day born
I
in
don't think he
Tri-Station.
died,
Picture
but you
this.
get what
You're
I'm
looking at
saying?
a dude who did a whole 12-year bid without saying a word, came home to his
They
day
looking
one
for him.
showing mad love, got blessed with bread and respect, and then allegedly turned around and became a walking wire for the feds. That's not just foul. That's the type of move that gets your whole bloodline marked for life in certain neighborhoods. But before we dive into how OTF Jam, real name Casey Hester, became the most hated man in Chicago drill scene, we gotta understand the ecosystem that bred this level of treachery. We're talking about a world where your word is bond, where keeping it 100 means everything, and where the worst thing you can be called is a snitch. Back in 2010, while most cats were just trying to figure out how to get their first whip or maybe score some decent work, Jam was already deep in the trenches. The man caught an attempted murder case and got sentenced to 12 years in the
Jam
pen.
was
Now,
already
in the
getting
hood, that's
jammed
the
up.
type of charge that separates the real ones from the fake ones real quick. Most dudes would have been singing like they're auditioning for The Voice just to get the time cut down. Here's where the story gets
Crazy.
deep and where the foundation for the ultimate finesse was being laid
Nigga
without
out here
nobody
being the
knowing.
number
While
one
Jam
talent,
was
huh?
locked down doing hard time in the Illinois correctional system, a young, hungry rapper named Lil Durk was building what would become one of the most notorious crews in drill music. OTF Only the Family got started by Durk in 2010, right around the same time Jam was catching his case. What started as just some homies from the block making music together eventually evolved into something much more complex. This wasn't just a record label or a rap crew. Prosecutors would later call it a hybrid organization that operated like a legitimate business on the surface but had serious street credentials underneath. The connection between OTF and the Black Disciples wasn't no secret in the streets. This wasn't some suburban kids pretending to be hard for the cameras. These were real street dudes who had been putting in work since they were shorties. The drill music they were making wasn't just entertainment. It was basically audio documentation of real beef, real bodies, and real consequences. During those 12 long years Jam was doing his bid, something beautiful and dangerous was happening on the outside. Durk was blowing up, drill music was becoming a worldwide phenomenon, and OTF was right at the center of it all. Songs about sliding on ops, catching bodies, and keeping it real weren't just bars. They were straight up confessions set to 808S and hi-hats. When Jam finally touched down in February 2022, the whole landscape had changed. The young dude who started OTF while Jam was getting booked was now a major player in the rap game. Durk had achieved what most cats from their environment could only dream about. He had gone mainstream without losing his street credibility. But success in the streets always comes with a price tag that keeps getting higher. The same activities that inspired Durk's hardest bars, the same conflicts that built OTF's reputation, were still active. When King Von got killed in November 2020, it left a wound in the crew that demanded some serious get back. In the code they lived by, some debts could only be paid in blood. This is where Jam's story intersects with what would become one of the most high-profile federal cases in hip-hop history. When he got released in 2022, Jam wasn't just another ex-con trying to get his life together. He got brought into OTF's inner circle, blessed with financial support and treated like family by Durk himself. This wasn't charity work. This was brotherhood looking out for brotherhood. At least that's how it looked from the outside.
He said, Jam get out that jam and give him 50, he ain't gotta ask again, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? He ain't gotta ask, bro. He said he gave you 50, bro. You know what I'm saying? Can you tell us how much he gave you, or you don't want to even know?
Damn.
I ain't gotta be no telling that, but
Imagine the whole time, like, yeah, I know.
man, what you need to be straight, like you saying, gotta ask him, you know, like shit.
That's insanely awkward. Now you think about it.
Durk allegedly blessed Jam with over $50,000, got him a crib, got him a whip, and even covered his legal fees. For someone who just did more than a decade in the pen, this type of love must have felt like hitting the lottery. This wasn't just looking out for your mans. This was investing in loyalty.
This nigga really helping these niggas out.
OTF was
Got
supposed to
cooked up.
represent, but allegedly something else was happening during this whole time. Something that nobody in OTF's circle could have imagined. According to federal investigators, Jam had been wired up for years, recording conversations and collecting evidence like he was working on a documentary. If these allegations are facts, then every conversation, every moment of trust, every demonstration of love was being recorded and handed over to the same feds who were building a RICO case. The implications of this alleged betrayal go way deeper than just one person deciding to cooperate with 12. We're talking about someone who got brought into the most sacred circles of the crew, who was trusted with sensitive information, who got treated like blood, allegedly using that trust to build a federal case that would eventually lead to Lil Durk getting hemmed up on murder for hire charges on October 24th, 2024.
That was wired.
Very ironic name.
Listen, if you've been in...
Very ironic name.
Jam got him in the jam. Did 12 years.
12
got
years.
out, interviewed, said he kept it real, brought him cars, gave him $50,000.
Right.
This. In the hood, there's
Just to be
unwritten
snitching
laws
the
that
whole
govern
damn time is
everything. There's
insane.
codes of conduct, systems of justice, and methods of enforcement that don't require no judge or jury. Being labeled a rat is basically getting a death sentence that ain't carried out by the state. It's carried out by your own people, by the same ones who used to show you love. The fact that these allegations against Jam have gone public means that regardless of whether they're true or not, his life is probably already forfeit in the eyes of cats who live by the street code. That's the harsh reality of the world they all chose to be part of. The trap gets exposed and bodies start dropping. The fall of 2024 was about to become the most devastating season in OTF history, but the groundwork for this destruction had been planted way earlier, watered with real blood, and fertilized by a thirst for revenge that would end up consuming everything in its path. What went down next reads like some Hollywood crime drama, except the consequences were all too real, and the bodies that dropped weren't actors getting back up when the director yelled cut. To really understand the magnitude of what allegedly went down, we need to break down the events that led to the August 2022 shooting in LA that took out Xavier Lopez Robin with Quando Rondo's people. Vaughn wasn't just another rapper to the OTF family. He was blood. He was a brother. He was the type of loyal soldier that every crew needs. His death created a debt that, in their world, could only be settled with somebody else's life.
Still, this is a hereditary war that's gonna go on forever. People that love Vaughn, even fans, I ain't even talking about his real loved ones, just fans. People gonna have a problem with them forever.
Here's where the story takes a dark turn that shows just how deep the alleged betrayal really went. If OTF Jam was really walking around with a wire like the feds claim, then he wasn't just some passive observer watching from the sidelines. He was actively documenting the planning, the execution, and the aftermath of what prosecutors would later call a murder-for-hire conspiracy. The level of access that Jam allegedly had is absolutely wild when you consider what it means. Court documents suggest that an informant provided recordings and details of OTF credit cards being used to book flights on the same day as the alleged attempt on Quando Rondo's life. This wasn't some dude operating on the outside looking in. This was someone with VIP access to how the whole operation worked. Someone who knew about the money moves, the travel plans, and the strategic discussions.
According to the indictment, multiple individuals tied to OTF coordinated the plot and discussed payments after the alleged attempt on Quando's life. The plan allegedly involved offering music industry opportunities and cash rewards in exchange for the killing of Quando.
The sophistication of this alleged operation is what makes it so devastating for everyone involved. The 5 OTF members who eventually got arrested, Kayvon London Grant, DeAndre Dontrell Wilson, Keith Jones, David Bryan Lindsay, and Asa Houston, weren't just random associates or hangers-on. These were core members of the organization, cats who had been trusted with the most sensitive aspects of OTF's business. But the most shocking revelation comes when you understand the timeline. Jam had allegedly been walking around with federal recording equipment for years, starting almost immediately after he got out the pen in February 2022. That means virtually every conversation he had with OTF members during this period was potentially being recorded and analyzed by federal agents who were building the case.
From 22 to 24.
Yeah.
So he immediately got caught up.
The psychological manipulation required to maintain this type of deception for years is beyond comprehension. Think about what this really means. While Durk was blessing him with money, while OTF members were treating him like family, while he was participating in the most intimate conversations about strategy, revenge, and survival, Jam was allegedly recording everything and turning it over to the same federal agents who were building cases to destroy the lives of everyone who trusted him. The evidence that federal investigators allegedly collected through this operation is extensive and damaging. Prosecutors claim they have recordings of discussions about payments, evidence of financial transactions, and detailed knowledge of the planning and execution of the alleged murder-for-hire plot. This isn't circumstantial evidence or hearsay. If these allegations are true, this represents a comprehensive documentation of criminal activity over multiple years. But perhaps the most damaging aspect of this alleged betrayal is how it strikes at the very heart of what OTF claimed to represent. The organization wasn't just a business or some casual association. It was supposed to be a family, bound together by shared experiences, mutual loyalty, and a code that prioritized solidarity above everything else. What Jam allegedly did represents a fundamental violation of everything that held the crew together.
How would they know that music contracts was offered? Who would have to tell them that?
Well, prosecutors state that these transactions and the informant's recordings played key roles in linking Lil Durk to the murder-for-hire plan. There's a guy named OTF Jam.
The reaction within OTF to these revelations has been complex and revealing. While some members continue to express disbelief and defend Jam,
OTF
others
Jam
have
didn't give
completely
no
distanced
fuck.
themselves from him. The crew is split between those
That nigga
who
thinking
refuse
like
to believe
12
that someone
years,
they trusted could be capable of such
50K,
betrayal, and those who see the
a
writing on the
house,
wall
and
and
a
are trying
car.
to protect
Yeah,
themselves from
alright.
further damage. The footage of Jam eating McDonald's
That
during
nigga
what
was in
appears to be a
jail.
federal
Nigga was mad as
interrogation
hell.
has become the ultimate symbol of this alleged
Oh
betrayal,
yeah, that nigga
being
was in
shared all
McDonald's.
over social media and turned into memes that clown what many see as the ultimate act of disloyalty. The image of someone casually munching on fast food while potentially destroying the lives of people who considered him family has struck a nerve
McDonald's,
in
bitch.
communities that value
You
loyalty
couldn't pick
above
Burger
almost
King,
everything else. But the implications of this
Wingstop,
alleged
nigga,
betrayal extend far beyond
Chick-fil-A.
just OTF or even
Nigga
the
pick
hip-hop
McDonald's.
For hundreds, if not thousands.
alleged betrayal extend far beyond just OTF or even
Nigga
the
pick
hip-hop
McDonald's.
If these
Nigga, you
allegations
gotta be
prove to be
crazy
true,
as
they
hell.
represent a new level of
They
sophistication
could've gave
in
you a
federal
Johnny
law
sack.
enforcement's approach to
Bitch, if you
dismantling
going
what
for
they
that
perceive
way.
as criminal organizations. This isn't just about arresting individuals for specific crimes. This is about using long-term infiltration and systematic documentation to build comprehensive cases that can bring down entire organizations.
OTF Jam did 12 years for attempted murder back, I guess around 2010. He got out in 2022, right around the same time of the Quando situation. And he allegedly had been wearing a wire for the last 2 years.
The strategic
Nigga
nature of
was
this
wired up.
operation suggests that federal
Bitch, I'm
investigators
wired
have been
up.
planning this for
Do the
years,
stanky
carefully
leg.
positioning their alleged
Do the
asset
stanky
and waiting for
leg.
the perfect
Bitch,
moment
I'm
to strike.
wired
The
up.
timing of
We ain't
the
talking about that
arrests, the
wired bitch.
coordination between multiple agencies, and the comprehensive nature of the
Insane.
charges all point to a level of planning and preparation that goes far beyond what most people
Nigga had
expect
a
from
whole
law
battery
enforcement
in his back.
operations. As news of these allegations spread through the hip-hop community and beyond, the response has been a mixture of shock, disbelief, and anger. Many are questioning how someone could maintain such a deception for so long, while others are wondering what this means for the future of organizations like OTF, when keeping it real goes federal and the game gets permanent. The final chapter of this saga isn't just about what allegedly happened to OTF Jam. It's about the complete breakdown of trust, the deadly consequences of betrayal, and the devastating
People are
impact
thinking
that
about
federal
getting that
infiltration
OTF
can
jam.
have on
I don't know if he
communities
got
that live
hit.
by codes of
You know what I'm
loyalty
saying? I don't
and
think he got
silence.
hit.
What emerges
But
from
you
the
get
wreckage
what
of
I'm
this
saying.
alleged betrayal is a
They looking
cautionary
for him.
tale about the price of revenge,
Trip.
the power of federal law enforcement,
But I think he
and how
might be
trying
like
to live by
in like
street rules in a
6'9"
world governed by
protection,
federal
government protection.
statutes is a losing game from the jump. But before we examine the alleged consequences of Jam's actions, we need to understand just how devastating these revelations have been for those who trusted him with their lives. On December 17th, 2024, OTF Jam finally broke his silence via Instagram stories, trying to defend himself against the mounting allegations. His statement read, "When the discovery comes out, you're going to see I'm not how the feds got onto us or built their case. I'm gonna let the paperwork come out because it's gone tell it all." This denial, however, came way too late to repair the damage that had already been done to his reputation, and more importantly, to his safety. In the world that OTF operated in, just being accused of being a federal informant is often enough to get you a permanent dirt nap, regardless of whether the accusations are ultimately proven
That's
true
a
or
fact.
false.
Trip.
I know Jam personally.
Oh, really?
Like,
Okay.
personally. So, my mom's
You never got
side,
no sign from
they
it?
say like Evans, St. Lawrence, all that shit, Evans Mob, his squad, all that, like that. Where Jam is from, he would be considered my op, but he not because of my other people type, because he's from off 79th and Vernon.
The streets operate under their own judicial system, and that system doesn't require the same burden of proof that you'll find in federal courtrooms. In communities where your reputation is everything and trust is the only currency that really matters,
You can't
being
trust
labeled as a
nobody in the
snitch
hood,
or an
though. That's the
informant is
thing, though.
equivalent to receiving
You
a
gotta
death
think
sentence
that
that
is,
won't be
they
carried out
all
by
out
the
to
state.
get you.
They'll be
Even if
handled by
y'all
former friends,
cool.
associates, and even complete strangers who
You know what I'm
see
saying?
such
Let's be
betrayal
honest.
as an attack on the fundamental principles that govern
We live
their
in a
world.
dangerous
Concern
world
for
that anybody
Jam's
can
safety
your
has
enemy.
been expressed repeatedly in online discussions, with many Reddit users questioning what would happen to him if he showed his face in Chicago again. The consensus among those who understand street politics is grim. Regardless of his guilt or innocence, the allegations alone have likely made him a marked man. But the story takes an even darker turn when we examine the additional allegations that have emerged from this situation. Rumors have circulated that Lil Durk ordered the killing of OTF Jam's baby mother as payback for the alleged snitching.
Oh shit, OTF Jam, baby mama got killed?
Should be treated with appropriate skepticism. Their very existence demonstrates the level of violence and retribution that can result from allegations.
OTF Jam, baby mama got killed?
They're telling me he was actually in Los Angeles.
Oh, really? You're saying
telling
OTF
me
Jam was in LA?
He got caught with a switch, and they're telling me he's kind of the one saying the 50 I got paid was for that. But it's weak because
that was to the world. He just was blessing me.
The complexity of this situation is further complicated by the fact that many people
Damn,
who
his baby mama got
find
murdered.
it extremely difficult to believe that he would cooperate with federal authorities. His reputation as someone who had done serious time without breaking, combined with his apparent commitment to street codes and principles, made the
They had it
allegations
for
seem almost
they had it for
impossible to
OTL
those who had
Jam.
known him for
If his
years.
baby mama got
Jam,
murdered,
I don't think Jam. If Jam was gonna snitch, he'd have been snitched on a long time ago. Jam's done a lot of time in jail. Like Jam, real.
This disbelief, however, may have been exactly what made Jam such an effective alleged informant. Federal law enforcement agencies have become increasingly sophisticated in their approach to infiltrating criminal organizations, often targeting individuals who seem least likely to cooperate precisely because their reputation for loyalty makes them above suspicion. The broader implications of this case extend far beyond just OTF or even the hip-hop community. The use of long-term informants, sophisticated surveillance techniques, and comprehensive financial tracking represents a new level of federal law enforcement capabilities that can penetrate even the most closed and loyal organizations.
You give your statement, Zorro.com knows that every job cooperate, you're getting on that goddamn stand and you're saying exactly what you wrote down. Or else you're going to do life in prison. Take your choice.
The psychological toll of living under such circumstances, knowing that anyone around you could potentially be recording your conversations and documenting your activities, is something that most people can't even fathom. The paranoia, the constant vigilance, and the erosion of trust that results from such operations can destroy communities and relationships in ways that extend far beyond the immediate targets of investigation. Now, regarding the title's reference to Jam being smoked on camera, it's crucial to address this directly and factually. Despite viral rumors in November 2024 claiming that OTF Jam had been killed, these reports have been thoroughly debunked. The video that went viral showing what appeared to be a fatal shooting actually showed the death of CJ Rilla, a 16-year-old drill rapper from New York who was killed on October 24th, 2024. As of May 23rd, 2025, there are no credible reports or evidence suggesting that OTF Jam has been killed, and thus no death investigation is underway. The spread of these false rumors demonstrates how
they're trying to say some other nigga that they thought was him who got killed.
Particularly when it involves high-profile controversies and allegations. However, the fact that such rumors spread so quickly and were believed by so many people speaks to the expectations surrounding the fate of alleged informants in street communities. The assumption that Jam would eventually face violent retaliation for his alleged cooperation reflects the harsh realities of the world in which these events are taking place.
Man, you might as well move to the Bermuda Triangle.
Continue to unfold, with Lil Durk's
go
trial
down there
pushed
and
back
just
to
kick it.
October 14, 2025. The delay has been attributed to new evidence and plea deal developments, suggesting that the case continues to evolve as federal investigators build their prosecution.
This whole case will stem on people cooperating. If they can get people to say,
damn, they looking for that OTL Jam head, bitch.
And their stories are consistent, then Durk is
y'all ever watch Futurama?
If their stories are being flip-floppy, this person's version story is different. This person's version story. Drew Finley will tear him apart on stage.
The impact on OTF as an organization has been absolutely devastating, with the arrest of multiple core members and the ongoing legal battles threatening to destroy everything.
Y'all think OTF Jam gonna make it 2-3 years? Or we are gonna make it the way the world looks in 2 or 3 years, bitch.
Represents a complete inversion of the loyalty and trust that had held the group together.
Get back to OTL Jam before GTA 6?
With Lil Durk's family releasing statements criticizing the use of his lyrics as evidence, and OTF Jam's family denying the snitching allegations. These public defenses highlight the human cost of these legal proceedings and the way they impact not just the individuals directly involved, but their entire support network. Whether Jam is ultimately proven to be the informant that prosecutors claim, or whether he's an innocent man caught up in federal overreach, his story has already become a cautionary tale about the price of living by codes that federal law enforcement has learned to exploit and manipulate. The final lesson from this tragic saga may be that in a world where the federal government has unlimited resources, sophisticated technology, and the willingness to use long-term infiltration tactics,
that's what he's saying, nigga. They almost do whatever the fuck they want to. Then we come at it. We got so many rules on our
federal
ass.
prosecutors play by a completely different set of rules, and they usually come out on top. In the end, this story serves as a reminder that when you're playing street games with federal consequences, the house always wins, and the price of admission might be higher than anyone is prepared to pay. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed watching this video, click.
Alright, we back. So, OTF Jam getting hit. I don't know. People are circulating rumors online that he might get hit. You know what I'm saying? Now this rap beef for Lil Scoom and Lil Jeff. We looked into Lil Scoom shit. Man, the more you just like, you start to realize like how everything is really like connected, kind of, gang. I ain't know Lil Scoom, Lil Jeff, and Fats. I already know I already know Fats like that, but Lil Scoom and them was connected to OTF and them, bruh. That's why the fans are going crazy. Like, they all listen to like his old music. They're like, ah, shit, this nigga Durk right here, bruh. He's like, boom, boom, pop, boom, boom, pop. So that's why somebody died. Like, this is crazy. Like, it's very crazy. And it's been going crazy online. OTF Jam, his sister died. His girlfriend died is insane. I think he gotta be on the 6'9", Tekashi 6'9" type of security. Because nigga, Durk get that nigga 50K, a new car, and a house, and you set that nigga up. That nigga was sitting in jail time with like 12 years. Alright. Damn, bruh. All this shit getting wild, man. Free that nigga Durk. They trying to hit that nigga with the wapaya. But hey, anything can happen. Hood, Northside, Big Crip, gang.
Hey, Dad, you know, dog, when we link up, dog, this shit be legendary. You know this instrumental, you the engineer on it, so Kodak everywhere.